I've set up a demonstration for QuickSketch to share with you using three buildings that are somewhat iconic in today's world. In Japan, here on the far left, we have the 4x4 houses by Tadao Ando. In the center, we have the Mons International Congress in Belgium by Daniel Libeskind. And on the far right, we have the Heydar Aliyev Center in Azerbaijan by Zaha Hadid architects. And I want to show you how I approach quick sketching and how fun it can be. And hopefully, my goal is that you will find that doing quick sketches, not only of existing buildings, but quick sketches of your own ideas can be very freeing, because it's not about making perfect drawings. It's about making drawings that help you understand what you're looking at or what you're thinking. So we'll start over here on the 4x4 houses. And interestingly, this is essentially, the photograph is set up as a one-point perspective. If we send these lines down, we're going to find that they converge very low in the image and essentially are as a one-point perspective. The horizontal lines of the building are not going off to some other vanishing point somewhere. They are actually horizontal. And that took a little bit of skill on the photographer's part to set that up. So we know that the vanishing point is down here. This is actually the top of a wall right here. And so I'm going to sketch this thing fairly quickly, I hope. And as I do so, I'm going to analyze and understand the building better. Here's the top of our wall, which otherwise would be close to being the horizon line. So we have these funny little houses, only in Japan, I guess. That's not true. And I'm going to go ahead and draw them both kind of simultaneously because they're definitely related. They're sisters. And so these first cubes, we're going to go ahead and get them in here. Set up the story for the rest of the building, because what's happening is we basically have two cubes sitting on top of two rectangular boxes, two vertical boxes. And they're notched in, very interestingly. And so right away, we have a fairly believable representation of the basic mass of these things, right? Didn't take very long at all. So now I'm going to just kind of break it down. I can see that this box, the lower box, has a large opening in it. And then it's got a slot right down the middle where there is a door and an awning and a window. And the door, if I look at it closely, I can see that it is recessed. And so that means I'm going to put a nice deep shadow on it. Same over here. I have this opening, which appears to be window. And then the slot down below. They basically mirror each other. Another awning, and another deep set door. And these openings, you can see, have some thickness to them, and they're set in. And those are wonderful because that means you get some shadow line. And I love drawing shadow line. Same with these big boxes up on top. The window surface is set in, so you get relief. And that makes them feel substantial, even though they're very thin and light in their appearance. Okay, but you can see how I'm just kind of going at this methodically, carefully, but not overly careful, because I'm just trying to capture the impression, and I'm trying to understand the buildings. Okay, so I would, just to finish this out, I would probably come in and throw some nice dark shadow underneath these surfaces. And I might, throw some shadow on the back portion, but I don't want to overdo this. And it's just a quick study. So the other thing I might do just real quickly is put some emphasis on the wall. Notice we got this little stair here. Stairs always freak everybody out. But stairs are just, if I know what the angle of the stair is, it's just a series of lines with a little suggestion of step. And there's a dark line under it. And there, it's done. No need to get freaked out about stairs. There's a little umbrella there. I don't like it because it's in the way of my building, so I'm just going to put it over here, just to indicate that there's something there. There's a building in the background. I'm just going to go ahead and throw in and again, it's going to this vanishing point here, because it's in the same sort of parallel plane. I like this light post here. And then there's a bunch of wires running through the thing. I'm leaving my construction lines. I could come back in and emphasize the outer edge of the box and maybe a little bit of that face. And then maybe a little bit of texture on the concrete wall. And there it is. I got a quick sketch, okay? Okay, we're going to do a quick sketch of the Mons International Congress by Daniel Libeskind. And this one is a little different, isn't it? There's not a lot of rectilinear lines in this. So how do I find my vanishing points, and how do I find my horizon and all of that? Well, it looks like we're standing on the ground looking at this building, and I'm just going to go ahead and assume that the horizon line is running through here somewhere. Interestingly, also very low in the image. And, I don't need to know where the vanishing points are, but I can see that these guys are converging. Now, they're not parallel, so it's really breaking a lot of our sort of traditional rules. So what I want to do in the quick sketch is just understand the shape of this thing. I just want to understand it. And I'm going to capture in the quick sketch the gestures. I'm going to focus on the gestures and the patterning a little bit. There's some really cool texture and pattern. And notice how the struts of structure that are visible behind this lattice flare out. So let's do just a very quick gesture drawing. This does not need to be highly detailed. Okay, but again, I want to know, where is my horizon line? And then I want to look at the proportions of this thing. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw this in right away. And it's coming back, and it's being intersected by a line here, by an element, and then this is falling back quickly, coming out. Again, I'm interested in the gestures of the building more than anything. And then this is running through almost touching the ground, and I can see it continuing back in the distance. There's some really interesting structural stuff going on here. I cannot quite make out all of the bits. I think it was actually under construction when this picture was taken, so there's some junk in there that I don't really care about. Something visible through this mesh. And I'm going to go ahead and throw in these lines of I haven't studied the building, so I don't know to any great detail how it's constructed. But again, it's really the gestures of the thing that I'm most interested in. And I'll go ahead and just throw dark hatch across all of this, because it feels like this object is floating on top of this stuff. And mine is not feeling quite as graceful as the real thing, but it's like I said, it's a study. Interested in the scale of it, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what the scale is. Is a person that big or that big? I can't tell. And I'll find out more. So there's a quick sketch of that one. I could even throw in a little bit of the road and context there. And even some cloud. And we're done with that. All right, so we're going to look at the Heydar Aliyev Center, Cultural Center in Azerbaijan by Zaha Hadid. An amazing woman. She passed away just a couple of years ago from a heart attack in her 60s, quite young actually. Had a very strong vision of architecture and the fluidity of architecture. And I'm intrigued by her work. So I'm going to set up my little viewport. And just real quickly, let's just look at this thing. It's a wonderful fold. It feels like it was poured. I have some images of it under construction, and it wasn't poured, but it is quite amazing how it feels. So again, horizon line somewhere right through there. You can get a sense of the scale of this thing by seeing where people are. And so I'm going to run a horizon line right through there. And the building is sitting very low on that. And I'm going to start, for some reason it's not letting me sketch on top of this photo, and I don't know why. There, let me try that. There it is. I'm going to start with this fold, bring it up, and just let my pen sort of follow that shape. How's that? And then you can see that it sort of swoops up, comes back down, swoops around and out. So this is the main swoop we're interested in terms of gesture. And then it's so interesting the way she captures the void of this fold. And the way light plays off of this thing is just beautiful. There's some kind of awning element here. And then there's this window system set into it. It's quite important and helps us understand the logic of the thing. You know, it's hard to occupy and inhabit a building that's a big fold, but you can see that it's broken into floor planes, and it actually is designed as a functional building, believe it or not. And so I count the floor planes so that I'm getting at least reasonably accurate depiction. And it's a little bit darker under there. And that system kind of continues on around. And then there's these really interesting folds swinging back. I'm not quite sure how to capture those, but they are interesting. And it's hard to see that the context basically looks like snow. So I just put a few lines out there and maybe a few people just for scale. And that's it. That's a pretty decent quick sketch. So again, I really want you to see that quick sketches are not about perfection. They are about gestures and understanding intention of the design. So I hope that will help you as we start to study some of these buildings and sketches in more detail.